It is time for women to come together and heal this planet. That's really what it comes down to.
There's so many problems that have to be solved. Women have to be in there solving them. And we do so much better when we are in community with other women. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Her Table, Her Rules. I'm Juliet Peters, your host, and I am so excited for this conversation today because we're going to hit on all things business, all things intuition. I'm thrilled to have Shab Azma with me today, and Shab has a business that really is a branding business, but where I want to focus is on your background, how you built the business that you did, which is all women. We love that, right? And talk about kind of how in the last number of years, you've really kind of embraced your spiritual and intuitive side and how that has kind of driven your business. So welcome and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
So let's talk about kind of your trajectory because you've really been in the entertainment business for a long time. So tell me just, generally your background.
Yeah. So I started in the studios at NBC, and then now it's NBC Universal, but it used to be just NBC. And then I actually went to Universal after that. So I started in the studios and I learned intellectual property. So I was in the consumer products group there, and I learned the value of building intellectual property and building businesses around theatrical releases, movie releases, and then the consumer products side of it. So I learned how to take a property and find all the different ways that it could reach an audience beyond just, again, a feature film. And from there, I understood branding and marketing and PR and all the aspects of sort of launching an IP like the films we had launched at the studios. And then I eventually sort of transitioned into management. I took the world of films and applied that to looking at talent as brands. Mm-hmm. And I worked with a lot of actors, a lot of A-list actors and musicians, which are harder to brand. So that fell more into like endorsements. And then at my big management firm that we work for, we bought dormant brands and we used our talent as a way to relaunch brands and had them sort of like incorporating the product in their music videos and their films and things like that. So again, just deepening my understanding of how to build businesses and the various tentacles around that. And then I was a partner in a more boutique management company that represented celebrity experts. And experts you can brand. Right. So you think about, Rachel Ray and Martha Stewart and Gordon Ramsay. Right. And that was a whole new world for me. And that's how I could really integrate branding with talent. And so we look at our talent as brands. And after 10 years of running a boutique management company with my partner at the time, I felt really spiritually bankrupt. Yeah. I felt like I was just dialing it in. It felt really transactional. Years past when I had worked with A-list talent, I had felt that way a bit. I felt like I'm just here making wealthy people wealthier. Yeah. And I remember one client of mine at the time, he's a big actor who had turned down $1 million deal for the bank for a Bank of Ireland commercial. Yeah. And I thought, what am I doing? What am I doing? Yeah. I mean, great that he decided to do that. Right. At the time, it was a little weird for actors to brand themselves in commercials. This was 20 years ago. Yeah. But I just remember thinking like these little things that sort of along the way that I was feeling. And then I bet 7 years ago, I was starting to feel the itch of like doing something different. I feel like, what am I doing? I'm dialing it in. And the catalyst for me really was the passing of a family member who, it was tragic. He was killed in a plane crash. And I think when it hits your family like that in that kind of traumatic way, there was like an invisible tap on my shoulder where I felt the need to pick up a book. And that book was called Journey of the Souls. And I had heard about that book years prior, but something was like, pick up the book. And it helped me. I read the book and I was like, wow, this is everything that I know, but didn't know that I knew. And it felt really real for me. And that was really the beginning of my wake up call.
For a lot of people, and also really a lot of women, right? When you have a break point like that, it can either be a death in the family, it can be a physical illness, something that really kind of shakes you to your core. That is absolutely a flashpoint. So
Yeah.
for you, it was this flashpoint. You read this book. Where did you go next? What
Yeah.
was your thought process then after that?
I mean, after that book, which is really about what happens when we die.
Yes.
The book, as you may know,
Yes.
really covers that. And I didn't grow up with religion. My parents are Muslim. I grew up in a Muslim home. My parents are from Iran. I'm first generation, but they never forced that on me.
Yeah.
And I always believed in God, and I would pray to God every night for the most part. But they really just taught me to be the best person I could be. And I was exposed to it, but I just always sort of felt lost when it came to religion. I'd grown up with friends who were Catholic or Jewish, but when I read this book, I was like, this feels like my Bible.
Yeah.
And then I would talk about it to people, and people were like, wow. And there was curiosity around my community. And then along the way, that sort of just planted the seed. It helped me understand what had happened with my uncle.
Yeah.
And then eventually through work, that's when I was feeling more spiritually bankrupt. And I had some things happen at my former company where my business partner had made some mistakes, and we lost a big client as a result, a really big client who I had worked really hard for 5 years and built her career. And she eventually felt she needed to leave. Yeah. And she wanted me to come work with her, but it didn't feel right for me to go work for her. I still had a company to run.
Right.
But it left me kind of disheartened with my partner and with her for leaving, and sort of, it was like another flashpoint, like you said. And that's why I was like, okay, this just doesn't feel right. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I don't know if I want to be a talent manager anymore. Yeah. I invest all this time in this person and my partner to run his business. And I just kind of felt deflated. Yeah. And around me and my community, and I had heard about plant medicine. And I had a dear friend of mine I call him my urban shaman. And I had connected clients with him who were struggling in their lives, who had done cognitive therapy and all kinds of things. And one of my clients in particular, I was like, I think you should go meet with Shane, who's my urban shaman. And she met, and she did a psilocybin journey with him. And it was transformative for her. Yeah. And she was the guinea pig. Yeah. And then I had a few other clients go and work with him as well. And they all had these transformative experiences. And then as this stuff was unfolding for me on the business side, I was like, I'm not sure if I'm meant to do this anymore. I'm not sure if I'm meant to stay in entertainment. I'm not sure if I'm meant to continue to be a manager. Yeah. I didn't know what my purpose was in this life. Yeah. And so I called him up. I said, I think I'm ready, because I'm not anyone who would ever, I was like the good girl. I didn't smoke or drink or any of that stuff. Most of my friends growing up would be like, she was like goody two shoes. Right. And if anything, judged those that did. But I felt called to do it. Yeah. And so I did a psilocybin journey with Shane Coyle in LA, and it was completely profound and transformative. Yeah. And I went in there with a very clear intention, which was to find what my purpose was in this life and what my path forward looked like. And after a 6-hour, very ceremonial, intentional, sacred experience, I came out of it with a business plan for myself and one for him.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I got very clear in that moment that I needed to leave my business partner. Yeah. And so literally 2 days later, I called him up and we had a lunch, and I said, it's time for me to leave and start. I wanted to start my own thing. Yeah. And in my journey, I got very clear on, it was about women, supporting women. Mm-hmm. And my spirit guides, my higher self, my intuitive being helped me see in a lot of different ways how to do that. And they showed me 5 clients at the time that I repped that were these incredibly strong, kind of badass women in very male-dominated industries. Cooking, because I had a lot of celebrity chefs at the time, and women in construction. So HGTV, I have HGTV and Food Network clients, and they showed me like a handful of those women that I repped at the time. And it was like, when you women band together, you'll make miracles happen. Yeah. And then the next thing I knew, I started a company in the pandemic with a loan that thank God, my now I see my dad as like my spiritual guru. At the time, he had told me to get an SBA loan during the pandemic when I was still working for my former partner and I was doing well financially. Yeah. And he was like, go get this SBA loan that everyone's getting. I'm like, I don't need the loan. What do I need the loan for? He's like, Trump's kids are getting a loan. Get the loan. Everyone's getting this loan. And I was like, okay. He's like, use it to renovate your home, whatever. And I got the loan. And who knew that several months later, I was going to leave my partner and start my own company. Yeah. And that was what funded my company. Yeah. So I started my company 5 years ago. It's called ARC Collective.
Yes, ARC Collective.
And we're all women.
Yes, which when I got on the website and saw, I was like, wait, this team is all women.
We're all women.
How fabulous.
Yeah. And there's a place for men, and I rep wonderful men, and I love men. This is not man hating by any means, but it is time for women to come together and heal this planet.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to.
That's why I started this podcast, because, you know, after so many decades of begging for a seat at the table, right, and doing everything you can to be recognized, right, time to build our own table. I really believe that is the case.
Yes.
And, you know, I have talked to so many women on this podcasting journey, and it's amazing the businesses, the approaches, the good that women are doing. We just don't hear it about each other. Because we are running and gunning, taking care of families, you know, taking care of parents, and running successful businesses, we don't have a lot of time to sort of, you know, hang necessarily. But I think this intentionality that you're talking about of really having space for women to work in community, it is the key to what we need. There's so many problems that have to be solved. Women have to be in there solving them. And we do so much better when we are in community with other women.
So true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. So how did you intentionally set out to build an all-woman team, or tell me about that?
That's really interesting. I just knew that it was centered around women. It's funny because the word matriarch kept coming through in my journey. Mm-hmm. And that's actually where ARC comes from.
Yes.
Interesting. I wanted to call the company matriarch, and it was like, no, that's too on the nose. And I didn't want to alienate men.
Yeah.
And then my sister-in-law, who now works for me, she was like, how about ARC?
Yeah.
Because Joan of Arc really also, that kind of vibe came through during my journey. I was shown some past life stuff with myself and sort of who I've been in past lives. And that came through a lot. And so I was really looking at Greek goddesses. I was looking at women of power. And then she's like, how? And then Arc, I was like, yeah. After a little while I was sitting on it, I was like, that's what it's going to be called. And then a collective. It was about the collectiveness, the collective of women. But now it's more 5 years later, the collective consciousness.
Yeah.
So at the time, I had no idea what I was building. When I tell you, it was just being led by intuition and community and my sisterhood. Honestly, my sister-in-law, who at the time was working for a different company. Yeah. And she is just really supported my intuition in that way. And so we are now we're about 10 women. Yeah. We have men that we pull in for projects. And again, I see a world where I'll have more men at the company, but I think we had to build this as women.
I think that this is the interesting thing about, you know, where we find ourselves from the, you know, I've seen you talk about in your past sort of podcasting stuff, divine feminine, right? And I know that's going to freak some people out to even use that word or that language. But I think it's an interesting thing, because I think for someone of my ilk, where I, you know, have been in male-dominated industries for almost all my career, you know, that strength of women was always seen as a negative, like as a male bashing thing. And as I've matured, I realize that it isn't about that. It's that, that women they just do better when we come together in community. You know, women pour their money that they make back into the communities. They feed people. They don't buy, you know, Porsches. Not that there's anything wrong with that, right? But that's not their first stop. Their first stop is to pour resources, time, energy, and effort into strengthening the big community, the society. So why would that be a negative?
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Yeah, I completely agree with you. And it really, I feel like we women have been pitted against each other.
100%.
Right? Yeah. And in some ways, it's sometimes easier to work with men.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, but that's not what ARC is. And we have our pain points as a company. I mean, as women, we also have babies. And I have like 2 of my main girls were down for the count because they had babies. But you know what? We work through it. Yeah. We support one another on Zooms. The babies are in the Zooms. They're off camera because they're nursing while it's like, it's wild, but in no other situation could you do that. No. And we really are a community and a sisterhood. And And we're a family. Like we really are a family. And I'm so grateful and blessed to have these incredible women that I've magnetized at my company. And then through them, you know, the talent that's coming to us every single day.
Yeah.
They're really taken by the fact that we're all women. And I have a lot of male clients.
Yeah. As do I. And
Yeah.
I mean, I will continue to have that, right? But where my passion point is helping women business owners succeed. And because we need women, we need the strengths, the relational strengths that women have. We need that to solve problems. One of the things that I love about the conversation we're having is you're very out there with your spirituality. And I think that that is a new thing. I do see that we are gaining more comfort in talking about bringing our whole person into what it is that we're doing. But for a long time, that was not like, you know, you'd be seen as hyper woo-woo and put over in a corner, right? Yep. So tell me about how you embraced that without judgment of others and judgment of yourself as to whether or not you could really roll like that, you know, talking so openly about your journey, you know, on the spiritual side.
Yeah. Well, it's been gradual.
Yeah.
I've only gotten really more deeply into my, the wooey side, I would say more in the last few years.
Yeah.
I've had other catalysts along the way in the last few years since the journey, since the medicine. But I would say, I don't know if people would, for the most part, know about this side of me until recently.
Yeah.
And I think that people who follow me on Instagram, especially, you know, I have a private account, but they're starting to see that. And I think it's starting to, and I'm getting a lot of love from certain groups of people. I'm starting to become more open about it.
Yeah.
I just posted on LinkedIn about it, meditation, which has really been such a gift for me that I only really discovered in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I'm really here to ground spirituality, you know, and not have it feel wooey. I want it to be really relatable and accessible and not feel scary.
Yeah.
And I feel like we are the people to do that.
Yeah.
You know, to have someone that comes from a law background,
right,
and entertainment. I think we are the way to make it accessible.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to live in an ashram in India.
Right.
You know, I think that it's something that you can integrate into everyday life and look and dress and present the way that you and I present. And I think people are baffled and shocked when they're like, you and literally I've been on Zoom.
And you don't smell like sage when you walk by.
Right, or patchouli. It's like, no. I've got my Joe Malone on. Right. You know, it's like, no. I think that for me, I really try to read the room. So on Zooms, you know, I do Zooms all day long with clients and business partners and people we're in business with. And, you know, I read the room.
Yeah.
And then I go like a little bit at a little breadcrumb. And then it's like, someone's like, tell me more.
Yeah.
And then before I know it, you know, I'm talking about my journey with people and they're like, and then it just creates this incredible connection.
Yeah.
And I have learned that I just have to be me and be radically authentic. And that's sort of where I'm at now at this age. I'm 50 and I'm here and I'm loving this like time in my life right now where I can just own it and not really care. I lived too much of my life caring about what other people think.
Wait till you get to 60. You care even less then.
I believe it. I'm here for it. But I love this age so much because there is this, it's like, I'm just here to be me.
Yeah.
You know, as a recovering people pleaser, you know, I'm really here to just, be myself. And I know that from being radically authentic, I will magnetize the same energy.
What's the hardest lesson you've learned in your latest iteration in business? What is the thing that you have struggled with as you're growing and scaling the new business?
I mean, I think when you're on this path, it's sometimes hard to be human.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you can't forget that you are human.
Yeah.
And that we can't live in the spiritual world and, you know, spiritual bypassing. You hear about that all the time. You know, it's like, no, I chose to be human in this life. And I love that. I love being human. So sometimes it's reminding myself of that. Sometimes there are days when you're like, I'd love to just be meditating all day. And it's like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, like you have work to do,
Yeah.
and you have this message to share with the world. And so sometimes it's like, I have this conversation with clients of mine who you would never know are on this journey because they're on TV, they're on big networks, and they cannot talk about this. They can't even talk about it on their social media. They can't talk about it on podcasts because they're worried about
backlash.
Exactly. Or exactly like, and especially some of my clients are on very conservative networks.
Absolutely.
Think of Food Network and HGTV. These are conservative networks. And we have these conversations though about how they're like, it's about that balance.
Yeah.
It's the balance of the masculine and feminine energy
Absolutely.
of being a human and a spiritual being and soul. And so I think for me, that's sometimes the thing that I have to, I personally, sometimes I have to remind myself that you are here to, you know, my North Star at our company is to positively impact 8 billion people fast. And the way to do that is through content.
Yeah.
Because you and I we are in a human shell that keeps us at one place at one time. And so the best way for us to get our message out is through podcasts.
Yeah.
And through content on television and social media and courses and live events.
Yeah.
And so, but content is where it's at. And so that mission, that's where I get to integrate my background in entertainment.
Yeah.
And the consciousness that I've stepped into. And so really right now I'm focused on integrating those two things and using the gift that I have of years of being in entertainment and have executive produced documentaries and films and short form content and animation and live action. And so I'm integrating those two things through my talent and my own voice now. And to make sure that I'm spreading the good word in a way that is, again, grounded and relatable, because my goal, I say, you know, ARC, again, comes from matriarch, which would be spelled ARCH. When you think of what an arch is, it's the bridge, it's the sports, the bridge. So we really are a bridge from what we say, the fluff and the fringe. Yeah. So there's like the fluffy TV content out there that is fine. It's not bad for you. It's not the dark stuff that, you know, is also out there in the world. It's like
lots of that.
It's like the HGTV Food Network content. It's not bad for you, but it's not. It's sort of surface.
Yeah. Every once in a while, you need some marshmallows.
Exactly. And who doesn't love watching a good cooking competition show?
Absolutely.
But then there's like the fringe, which is like, you know, Gaia and Mind Valley and some of some of the TED Talks and things like that. And we're really here to bridge it, because at the end of the day,
100%.
right? It's like I want to get the people that are watching the fluff content to kind of breadcrumb, and maybe the gold is in the fringe, but it's fringe. Yeah. You know, and our thing here is to democratize that kind of content, right? And widen the aperture and get middle America and rural conservative America and the world to really all come together and embrace consciousness. Yeah. And to make it feel more mainstream. Yeah. And I truly believe that conversations like this with you and myself are the way to do that.
Yeah, I agree with you, by the way. I mean, one of the reasons that I wanted to start this podcast is, you know, I've had an interesting journey myself before I was in law, which is a very grounded, very, you know, I was a newscaster. Mm-hmm. And so, and once I closed the door on that, I never looked back. I didn't want to talk about it. And then I sort of woke up during a retreat, and I got a very clear message that it was time to kind of bridge the gap between sort of what I'd been running from, which is the ability for me to be able to speak and write and bring this kind of content out, and the very grounded side of me that is still really doing, you know, day-to-day helping of businesses in a very pragmatic way, right? And I think that is specifically for me, I see a lot of vapid content and a lot of content that skews pretty dark. Yes. And for me, I don't want that sort of false positivity. And yet I see women sort of digging, you know, doing the hard work, but nobody knows what they're doing. Right. Nobody has any understanding of the kind of mountains women are moving in communities, doing their businesses, employing people. Just talked to somebody earlier today that has a whole virtual team in the Philippines that has been with her for 10 years. And so she has like this legacy that she's built among employees overseas. That is what we need.
That's exactly right.
We need to see each other doing this. And how could that kind of content ever be negative?
That's right.
Right?
And it can be really entertaining too.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be earnest.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I'm really here for, is because I come from this entertainment background, I'm here to make it incredibly engaging and compelling. And the content that we're producing right now is exactly that. I'm producing a series right now on past life regressions.
Yeah.
But it's going to be incredibly cinematic.
Yeah.
And very, very I'm going to manifest that we're going to win an Emmy because of this series, because it's going to be groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And I know the subject is kind of wooey.
Yeah.
But when you see it played out in the way that we're producing this, it's going to be a game changer. People are going to be very curious.
You know, I was talking to somebody this week, not a woman, this was a man, and we were talking about sort of this idea of, and he kind of has a background in physics. And so what's interesting to me is where science has gone, you know, where spirituality started and where science started was like this, right? Mm-hmm. During my lifetime.
Yeah.
And now science has gone all the way around and it's met spirituality.
That's right.
Right?
That's
it really has.
It really has.
I mean, that's the easiest way I could explain it.
No, but you're right.
But, you know, and I think that there is an openness I feel among people.
That's right.
Because I think they can see that science and spirituality are
coming together,
coalescing.
I mean, we have quantum physicists on our documentary.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, there is absolutely. I mean, we're seeing this more and more and more. It's everywhere. At least it is for me, because I'm consuming that kind of content. Right. It's populated all over the place, and it's from people from all backgrounds and educations. But I'm talking to doctors who have this belief and have actually experienced it. And so, to your point, there's this complete merging of science and spirituality, and I'm so excited about it.
It's awesome. Well, I'm super grateful that you took the time to come here today. This has been an amazing conversation. If people want to reach out to you, how do they do that?
Yeah, so they can go to hello at Art Collective, arccltv.com. We have an Instagram at Art Collective. We have a website, artcollective.com. But yeah, I am just here to support anyone who wants to inspire and enlighten other people. So if you're someone out there that wants to do that and needs a platform, hit us up.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for creating this experience and opportunity for women.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very, very happy to have had you here today. This was, like I said, very enlightening and amazing conversation. And I hope you felt that way too. And we'll see you next time on Her Table, Her Rules.